Okay, so we are in the second part of today's lecture. Again, good afternoon. So our focus of studying is the Old Testament in the New, and it's interpreting the Old in the New Testament, or the content from the Old Testament in the New. And in this, according to Stanley Porter, one of the major reasons for the study of the use of the OT in the NT is that the OT constituted the foundational set of texts for the NT writers, along with them, the first Christian believers. And again, we are reminded what the Lord Jesus Christ said, Matthew 5:17. Jesus said, He did not come to abolish the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. And when we say law and the prophets, that is a catchy phrase for the entire scripture, which is the Hebrew scriptures available to them. Kasi still under composition pa lang yung mga New Testament documents. One must not lose sight of the importance of the Old Testament for Gentile believers. So again, this is the debate is ongoing about the continuity and the discontinuity of the Old Testament. So how can we as New Testament believers apply the Old Testament in our setting, given that according to Jesus is the one who fulfilled the Old Testament in our behalf? Okay. So there are few reasons for interpreting the Old Testament. The one is from the Old Testament looking forward to the New. And this is called prophetic foreshortening. So from the Old Testament perspective, it is as if the writer, understood by the New Testament authors, saw in the utterance not only a present fulfillment or fulfillment during their time, but it is still open for a future fulfillment. That's called prophetic foreshortening. And then there is also the what we call typology, and perhaps this is more familiar to most of you. That typology works from the viewpoint of the New Testament writer. So it is the reverse, no? The typology is coming from the lens of the New Testament author, looking back, no? Looking back at what yung source from the Old Testament. So the New Testament author looks back at a type, or what we call a typos, no? A form which can be something as a correlation between wording or an event or a concept, no? From the Old Testament, which the um, New Testament author sees, no, in his context. And we see that, for example, Jesus is a form of Abraham. Jesus is a form of Isaac, no? Jesus is a form of Joseph, di ba? Or in the book of Judges, Jesus can be in the Exodus era. Jesus is a form of Moses, a type of Moses, which is a lawgiver, no? Jesus is a type of Solomon, who is a wise person, di ba? Jesus is a type of David, who is a king of the Jews, di ba? So, marami tayong pwedeng masabi about yung typology. And our concern here for this second half of the meeting is method and terminology. So there are what we call direct quotations, no? The author wishes to label the words that follow as a quotation. In theory, this type of quotation can consist of one word or be much longer, sometimes 3 words lamang in the phrase, and then since the formula marks the quotation. So the author uses the phrase such as just as it is written, and then followed by the Old Testament text. And then it is written as the prophet says or said, and this was to fulfill what the prophet said. So it's a direct quotation. Meron siyang formula or sabihin natin an introductory phrase to denote that the author in the New Testament is borrowing something from the Old. And again, when we think of this, do not think of it as from a print culture, no? Na kasi the printing press invented 12th century was yung since then nagkaroon ng books. But in the concept of the people who live during the New Testament, oral tradition ito. No? Kasi they're already familiar. But again, there were also traces of yung documents written. Pero hindi pa ito yung book form kasi they were still yung written in scrolls, no. And then the second one is a paraphrase, no. A paraphrase by definition will not have the minimal three words, but it may use some of the same words pero without the introductory formula na it is written, no. Directly ginagamit na ito ng author sa kanyang conversation, no. It may use some of the same words though not consecutively along with other words. A paraphrase is typified by the use of words from the same semantic domain or similar words in differing syntax as a recognizable passage. No? So in order to determine a paraphrase, kailangan dito yung a working knowledge ng author at saka siguro sa atin for our time today is a working knowledge of the Old Testament, wherein we are able to recognize, no, na this phrase or this statement came from this book. So important talaga sa atin that we are able to familiarize ourselves, no, with the Old Testament so that we can yung discern and confirm whether the New Testament writer is citing from this passage in the Old Testament. So, for example, ito, Philippians 2:10 to 11, pero hindi na natin di-discuss for the moment, is citing from Isaiah 45 verse 23. Another
Sir,
one is
po,
yes.
pwede po i-check halimbawa yung may mga footnote po, di ba? Yung parang may nakalagay yung mga letters.
Mm-hmm. Sa mga Bibles today, for example, the New International Version, meron siyang center cross reference, di ba? Yung nasa gitna. At ito yung mga usually ito allusions or yung possible quotations ng yung binabalikan niya from the old. So we have the advantage today na marami na tayong means of, locating kung anong Old Testament passage or text ang ginamit na nitong writer na to at ina-apply niya dito. Mamaya we will have examples. No? Again, we will be talking about it from yung sa James from the book of Genesis. No? So yes, thank you. Thank you, Sister April. So another development after the paraphrase, yung kasi again paraphrase, no. So in our terms is the author using it in his own the way kumbaga. Pero we know that it is referring to an Old Testament passage. Now an allusion, the term as allusion is used for a figure of speech that makes indirect extra-textual references. So nandun yung keyword dito, indirect, no? No. Charles Holman in Porter, a figure of speech that makes brief, often casual reference to a historical or literary figure, event, or object. Strictly speaking, allusion is always indirect. It attempts to tap the knowledge and memory of the reader and by so doing to secure a resonant emotional effect. Resonant is nagre-resound uli sa kanya, no? Yung knowledge niya within an existing material ang tawag doon ng Old Testament. So, pag nagbabanggit, nagkakaroon ng yung memory na trigger yung memory ng listener na si speaker is referring to this book, no. But again, indirect ito, no. So si Holman's definition includes yung Holman kanina, si Charles Holman. Ito, several elements such as a reference may be historical or literary entities. Makakakita kayo ng examples mamaya, no. The reference is indirect as opposed to formulaic quotation. Direct quotation or paraphrase, all of which are more direct. And then the allusion is intentional on the part of the author. So wag nating sasabihin na by chance lang yon, no? Kasi ang ganda ng yung pinoint out ni Sister April a while ago about the author nung we were talking about metaphors. Alam na alam ni James ang kanyang Bible, no? Alam na alam niya. At we see that even kunyari dun sa Acts chapter 2 the preaching of preaching of Peter, no? When they were at Pentecost, he was talking about the prophecy from Joel, which was fulfilled during his generation. And then the allusion may occur without knowledge of the reader. It is also possible that the author would mention the allusion kahit na hindi ito alam ng ano. For example, the Paul and then the Jews, when Paul was visiting the synagogue, it may be appealing to the Jew who knows his Bible, but yung mga Gentiles, no, hindi nila alam marahil, no, or they were still beginning to discover the contents of the Old Testament. So possible na, no, it is in the mind of the author, pero it is not in the mind of the listener or the recipient. So again, pag sinabi natin, paano yun kung hindi sila natutugma ng mindset, no? Kasi if the listener is not aware of the Old Testament text, so that is also again a potential na, no, na we will leave it to it na yung listener would, of course, he will draw from his own experiences, no? Not from the knowledge doon sa Old Testament. So meron talagang ganoon. So again, people will say, Pastor Edwin, hindi ibig sabihin pala, it is possible na magkaibang iniisip yung author at saka yung listener. That's again acceptable, no? But sabihin natin, mas informed na tayo ngayon, no? Given that we are more informed and we have the, sabihin natin, napakayaman ng ating information today. Siguro maganda na rin intindihin natin how it was interpreted in the Old Testament. No? So, given na parang mas nagiging aware tayo ngayon at binibigyan tayo na hindi naman para demanding naman, ano. Kung hindi gusto pa natin ma-explore pa, no, as academicians, no. So napo-point out naman tayo, no, ng mga ganitong references dun. And then 5, allusion is most effective when there is a body of shared knowledge, no? So mas sinasabi lang dito, no, yung number 4 kasi, number 3 and 4 is interpretation potentials, no? So yung number 5 mas maganda kung nagtutugma sila, no? At following Porter's definition, sabi ni Stanley Porter na nag-define niya ng sarili niya. I define allusion as opposed to quotation as involving the indirect invoking of a person, place, literary work, or the like, designed to bring the external person, place, literary, or similar entity into the contemporary material. So, yun. Instances of allusion in the New Testament include, for example, si Paul. Sa Galatians 4, yung kay Abraham, meron siyang 2 anak, si Isaac at si Ishmael. The other one was, sabi nga, no, from the Jerusalem, no? From above, no? And then yung isa naman ay under the law, di ba? So to a covenant being related to Sinai, yun. And then yun. At ganoon din sa Romans 4, para doon sa faith ni Abraham. Mamaya we will be talking about Abraham, yung kay Abraham sa Book of James naman. Yun, including the quotation of Genesis 15:16. 15:6. Mamaya mapag-aaralan natin yon, ano? Kasi doon yung discussion about circumcision as the sign of the covenant, no? Inargue ni Paul na meron ng pananampalataya bago pa man dumating yung circumcision. Si Kelly O'Brien defines allusion as a reference made by the author to a previous work that is indicated by verbal correspondence. So, meron siyang similarity of terms, no? This definition, she explains, contains 3 essential components. Una, the authorial intention. At yung authorial intention, it can also mean, it can also refer to the author of the Old Testament. No? Merong which is also being used by the New Testament author. Verbal correspondence, so yung ginamit na term ng Old Testament author and then yung New Testament author. So may pagkakapareho ng gamit or yung presentation dun sa sa composed material, and then interpretation din. At dito may pagkakapareho pero not exact, no? Not exact equivalence, no? Kasi the context is now different, no? Yung context ng New Testament with regards to the fulfillment of Jesus Christ as Lord and Messiah, and then as Savior as well. So yung dynamics ni Jesus, yung experience ng mga mananampalataya, and if you say the work of the Holy Spirit in the community of believers, no, adds to the interpretation. And then last is merong echo, no? So merong i-review natin, merong quotation, merong paraphrase, merong allusion. Now we are talking about an echo. Pero itong echo, wala na tayo halos makitang word na ginamit dun sa sa New Testament to say that this is being alluded to that. Kaya nga imbis na matawag siya as allusion, tinawag na ni Richard Days as echo, no? Echo, no? Yung echo na to, five locative possibilities. Una, sa isipan ni Paul, pero hindi niya ginamit yung term. Kaya hindi siya allusion. Pero, it is highly possible na, na gumagamit si Paul ng echo. And then, yung original readers of Paul's letter, and then the text itself, and then a contemporary act of reading, which is, sa atin, sa time natin ngayon, kaya naman ang binabalikan natin, both yung context ni Paul at yung context ng Old Testament as an echo. So, an interpretive community. Hayes observes that options 1 and 2 locate the echo in a historical act of communication between persons in the past, whereas options 4 and 5, no? Locate meaning in the act of reading in the present. So, kaya nga siya hermeneutics eh. Kaya nga very important sa atin yung hermeneutics kasi um, hindi natin dinidiretso na kinakausap tayo ngayon in the present, no? We really need to have a disciplined study. Paano kinausap ng God? Paano yung verses na to became a witness to their to their experiences, no? In the past. At makita naman natin in the Old Testament, marami talaga sinasite from the experience of Israel, no? At yung nalalaman ko about the three important books na laging sinasite sa New Testament, yung Psalms, yung Isaiah at saka Deuteronomy. No, Psalms, Isaiah at saka Deuteronomy. Ayan, so ngayon, itatry na natin, itetest na natin how the Old Testament was written by James, no? Paano ito ginagamit sa Book of James. Okay? So, yung steps natin in reading dito, ito naman ay recorded and I will give you access to the copy, no? First is identify the passage in the OT that is being cited or alluded to, no? Pardon me doon sa question mark, no? Wala dapat question mark yan, no? So, kasi identify. Yung question mark is related to the question na what passage at what verse, no? Is the author of in the New Testament, no? Citing to. And then, so ang goal natin, what's na ma-identify natin yung passage or verse in the Old Testament? We need to study it, no? In its own background. Again, own background. So wag muna nating tingnan si Jesus. Wag muna nating tingnan yung fulfillment ng Old Testament passages. Looking forward to Christ, no? Let's think about it in its own terms. And then after that, we will move into how the New Testament. Again, it is not about us, no? It's not about that. It is about the New Testament author, no? Ano yung meaning na gusto niyang i-portray, no? By mentioning the Old Testament, no? In his Old Testament, in his in his new setting, no? And we'll say the Christian setting, the setting within Christianity nitong text na to. And then fourth, na to, no? Discipline na to, personal discipline is how we can see yung how can we after assessing the data, yung Old Testament at saka yung New Testament, makita natin how we can compare and contrast the situations, no? For example here, yan sa on the right column yung sa James, no? Hindi ko pala nalagay dito yung no, James, no? James chapter 2 ito, na 2:8 onwards, no? At nabanggit dito sa verse 21, was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered up his son Isaac on the altar? And then he goes to verse 23, Abraham believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness. No? And he was called the friend of God. Yung friend of God, ano yata siya? Isaiah na yata siya, yung friend of God na yan. But still, dito tayo sa Genesis 15. Posted na naman dito and we do not need to repeat the story. Ang gusto lang natin dito makita is how yung sabihin natin the dynamics of how the New Testament author used, no? And okay. I'm already jumping into passages, no? Genesis 15:6 and then Genesis 22, no? Kasi okay. So Genesis 15:6, teka lang, ano ba to? Parang may mali yata ako dito. Okay lang, okay lang. So and he believed the Lord and he counted to him as righteousness, no? At yung call of Abraham goes back to chapter 12. But ito yung ano, ito yung belief, no, yung sinasabing yung faith which is Old Testament na Greek, no? Merong Hebrew, merong Old Testament in Greek. Ay ginamit nga doon yung word na ano, yung faith na or pistis, no? At napupunta dito na Abraham believed in God and it was credit counted to him. But again, look at verse 21, no? Sa James 2:21, was not Abraham our father justified by works? So dito hindi po kinakaaway ni ano, hindi po kinakaaway ni James ang ano, no? Kasi sasabihin niyo, nasaan ba ito sa James 15? But rather, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is how yung obedience, no? Yung how yung obedience ni Abraham was manifested, no, in works, no? At dito ay napakalaking testing, no, when he offered up his son Isaac on the altar. Cited na rin dito in Genesis 22 verse 9. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. So, ano pinapakita dito, no? Pinapakita dito yung ano, yung sincerity ng obedience niya, no, ni Abraham. So again, masasabi talaga natin na merong opportunity si Abraham to ano, to disobey, no? Meron siyang opportunity na mag-grumble siya or to complain before God, no? Na si Isaac ay ibinigay, tapos bakit binabawi, no? But again, maraming pumapasok sa isipan ni Abraham, no? But ano yun, yung result dito is that Abraham remained faithful to God. So ang isang magandang word na pwede natin pagtuunan dito yung faithfulness, no? Faithfulness ay nakikita sa work. At si James was James was using Abraham as the model of faith, no? At kaya naman di ba ito tong mga sumunod verse 16 to 17, and said by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you. So again, um, ang nakikita lang kasi natin dito sa James chapter 2 is yung verse 21, 'di ba? Which is about the ano no, which is about the yung action ni Abraham that he obeyed the Lord. Pero wag hindi nawawala sa picture yung sinabi sa verse 16 to 17 that obedience, no? Obedience or faithfulness results into blessing. 'Di ba? Results into blessing. So ano 'yan, hindi yung blessing hindi ito basta hinihingi ito, 'di ba? It is a result of God's generosity, and we see that ano 'yan verse 17, I will surely bless you, I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven. So it goes back do sa Genesis 15 na yung pananampalataya ni Abraham ang naging reason at kaya si God fulfilled the promise nagbuntis si Sarah at tingnan niyo din sabi pa faith as body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead. And I remember, I think it was in Hebrews, no? Na yung faith na kahit na yung katawan both ni Abraham at saka ni Sarah ay parang patay na dahil nga ano no, dahil nga sa kanilang katandaan, no. Pero binibigyan ito ng ano no, nang sabihin natin na picture out na kung parang patay na yung katawan nila dahil sa katandaan, chances are maisip natin both for Abraham and Sarah, kung hindi sila naniwala, kung hindi nila inaccept yung faith na yon, o di dead. O di hindi mangyayari yung blessing ng fulfillment ni ano ni God para si Sarah ay magbuntis. At from Sarah naisilang si Isaac, and then nagkaroon ng ano Isaac si Jacob, and then nagkaroon ng Israel, 'di ba? Nagkaroon ng malaking bayan. So, may tanong po ba dito? May tanong po ba? So, ano, no? Kaya lang. Kasi hindi ko kayo nakikita. Yan. May tanong ba? So, di, pero, hindi naman, ang James, ay hindi naman siya kasi mahirap intindihin eh, di ba? Kaya naman siguro, kayo nakukuha nyo na, and then even yung Genesis, yung Abraham story. No? Ang sa akin lamang, para mas nakikita natin how si ano no si James no ginamit yung 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 life story ni Abraham as a model no, as a model ng faith na pinapakita ng works no. Okay. Sige, next thing ay ano, Genesis 3, di ba? So also the tongue is a small member yet it boasts of great things. How great a forest set ablaze by such a small fire no. So Genesis 3 naman na ano na natin to na kanina na somehow na discern na natin no na dito pupunta yung ating ano na usapan. No? So James chapter 3 verse 5 to 10. Allow me to read naman yung ano no yung James no. So also the tongue is a small member yet it boasts of great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. So sa verse 5 ang pinag-uusapan dito kung paanong yung pananalita ng marahil of course ng isang tao ay nagamit at nasunog yung buong forest no, nasunog yung buong forest. Dito sa case ng Genesis 3, alam natin na naging resulta dito, hindi lang yung tao ang na ano pinarusahan, pati yung creation, di ba? Curse is the ground no, na ano no naisumpa yung ground because of the disobedience ni Adam and Eve no. Well, of course, dito sa ano no, yung idea ng serpent no, na dinaya no, dinaya niya si Adan at si Eva kaya sila na ano nahulog. At nakikita naman natin dito ang ano no, yung deception includes na sinasabi hindi ka mamamatay, di ba? No? At ang deception dito ni ng serpent, akala ni Adam and Eve mapapasa kanila yung blessing, no? Pero hindi, baliktad yung nangyari. Kaya nga tingnan niyo ito, yung James 3:7 ng James 3:7. For every kind of beast and bird of reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by mankind. Okay, okay, okay. Kaya daw alagaan. Pero pagdating dito sa serpent, nakita natin yung contrast. Yung serpent, baliktad yung nangyari. Di ba? Yung serpent nga ngayon ang hindi naman tame. No? Kung hindi, kaya naging wild. Kaya naging wild yung tao, no? Yung ano, no? Dahil sa ginawa ng serpent, no? So again, ginagamit dito yung example at naalala ko yung ano, yung pinakalumang example na sinabi, kaya yung palaka, no? Yung palaka. Yung palaka daw, sinasabi, ay, yak, kadiri, palaka, ang dumi. Pero yung palaka, hindi raw yung nagkasala sa Diyos. No? So, kahit yung palaka, pinagdidilan, hindi siya nagkasala sa Diyos. No? So, ano, no? Ano, going back again, yung makita natin yung creation, na yung metaphors of creation, no? At ang isang gustong sabihin dito ni James, di ba? No? Na, na, ano, na, kami nga pala, meron kami alagang pusa, dalawa, no? Yung malaki-laking pusa namin, si Blackpink, no? No, yung black na cat, tapos pink yung nose, kaya Blackpink. Tapos yung bago naman naming cat, no? Yung ano, namatay yung nanay niya eh. Yung kulay puti yun. Ang pangalan ng cat. Kasi yung nanay niya, nung lumipat kami dito sa ano, sa Tansa, ay, na recorded nga pala to. Ang pangalan ng pusa namin ay si Puteng, Puteng kasi kulay puti siya. Tapos Kuteng, kaya siya si Puteng. So, may mga alaga tayo, mga ano no, may mga pets tayo. Mahal natin 'yan, mga part yan ng family. Pero sabi raw, yung dila raw mahirap daw siyang ano, mahirap daw siyang alagaan ano. Or sabihin natin ano, pabaitin. Tama ba 'yun? Mahirap siyang pabaitin ano. Kasi nga yung ganun yung laging ano niya. At hindi lang 'yun eh, yung isa pang ginagamit dito ni James na yung dila daw ng tao parang ahas din. Yung itsura niya parang ahas, no? No, parang ahas na ano yung haba niya, di ba? Parang ganito. So, may comparison din siya ng physiology naman. At yun ano pa ba? Verse 9, with it we bless our Lord and Father, no? And with it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God. Again, up. The likeness of God, no? So bumabalik siya sa Genesis 1, di ba? Yung ano, yung let us create man, sabi ng ano, no, ng Adonai, no? Ng Elohim pala, no? Para ma-create ang tao. And then from the same mouth, again, as a result of the fall, no? Kasi sa chapter 2 ng Genesis, hindi pa nagkakasala ang tao. So, very positive pa yung language niya, no? Both ni Adam at saka ni Eve. Pagdating dito, ay lumalabas na yung cursing, no? Yung hindi tamang pananalitan. What else? Sa verse 16 to 19, no? Yung nakafocus dun sa ano, yung curse, no? Kasi sabi, to the woman, I will surely multiply your pain. And then verse 17, because you have listened to the voice, you have eaten the tree of which I commanded you. No, you shall not eat of it. Again, yung word na tree related do sa forest, di ba? Yung tree. At saka tree kasi forest, marami siyang trees, no? And naalala natin, of course, siguro doon sa Hardin ng Diyos doon sa Eden, hindi lang naman siguro isa puno doon, no? So, but again, nagsuffer yung creation. No? Curse is the ground because of you. In pain, you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So, yun. And then, ano pa ba? Yung sinasabing, no, dust, you are taken and then dust. So naaalud rito yung word na death, no? Yung death kasi yung sin when it gives birth, no? It becomes, no, death, no? Gives birth to sin, it becomes death. So, yung echo, no? Yung echo ng death na makikita natin na nag-apply dito. Walang word na death, pero alam na kasi deadly poison nga eh, no? Verse 8, no? Isa siyang pang mapanlilang. At hindi na natin sabi nga hindi na natin kailangan i-memorize 'yan, no? Kasi naalala ko pag pinag-uusapan natin yung bata, no? Wala naman nagturo sa bata na magsinungaling, pero yun na lang eh, bigla na lang nagsisinungaling, no? So sasabihin natin, sino nagturo sa iyo magsinungaling, di ba? So ayun, so alam niyo na, natakot mapagalitan, etc. O kaya pag meron kinuwang bagay, nagagawa rin naman natin yun, ano? Nagagawa ko rin yun noon. And, ano yan, anyway. At, let's talk, yung Genesis 4. No, yung ano to, no? Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, ano to, James 4. Your gold, silver have corroded, their corrosion, behold the wages of your labor. Ito yon. Laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. And yes, siguro naalala niyo dyan yung mga Israelites, no, when they were in Egypt, no? But that's in the book of Exodus. So pwede natin yan pag-aralan sa mga susunod na meeting, no? For now, makikita natin dito yung yung judgment, no? Again, yung word the judgment, no? Um Noon sa conversation ni Lord at saka ni Cain, no? Winarningan na ni Lord si Cain, eh, di ba? Sabi ni Lord na yung sin is right at your door, no? You must yun, di ba? You must overcome it, no? Overcome it. Parang naalala natin diyan yung language din ni James, no? Na sinasabing no, yung endure, no? Endure temptation, no? Endure temptation. Bagamat dito, we move forward, no? At dito, ang tinutukoy natin dito, yung brother, si Cain, pinatay si Abel. At anong naging resulta dito, class? Sino pa mag-aalaga ng lupa ni Abel? Di ba? So, alam ko, maybe sasabihin nyo, Pastor Edwin, you are going beyond the topic, no? Well, okay, sige. We know na pinatay ni Cain si Abel. At kung mapunta man kay Cain yung lupa ni Abel, no? Hindi na natin alam. Pero with regards kasi sa realities in life, 'di ba? Yung what we call land grabbing, 'di ba? At kahit naman dun sa sa El Filibusterismo, maalala natin 'yun, na nangyayari na 'yun even Spanish times, no? Na merong uh, nag farm, 'di ba? And then kinuha na lang, yeah, most of you know the story, no? So again, anong pinapakita natin? You have condemned and murdered, no? The righteous person. At doon sa story between ni yun, uh, Cain and Abel, di ba? Si Abel yung tinutukoy na righteous person doon, di ba? So, uh, we may say hindi talaga ito random, no? Hindi ito parang uh, pinulot lang kung saan-saan, no? May basis talaga siya with regards. Makita natin yung pag-iyak nung dugo, no, ni Abel, no? At dito, going back kasi we're talking about Christianity here, no? No? Pwede kasing itong tumukoy sa ano 'yon, sa experiences ng mga mayayamang Kristiyano at yung mga mahihirap na Kristiyano, 'di ba? Na sinasabi nga love your neighbor as yourself, pero pinababayaan, no? Napapabayaan ng mga mahihirap. So again, of course there is not the case of murder, pero doon sa language ng sinasabi ni James dito na nakita mo yung kapatid mo naghihirap na halos walang makain, di ba? Para mo na rin siya pinatay kasi hinayaan mo siya doon na walang makain, no? Ay, teka lang. Teka lang. Sorry, nagiging emotional na ako, no? Sorry. Dahan-dahan na lang sa akin, no? Nagpapaliwanag lang po. Nadadala lang tayo na merong bagay na kailangan nating bibigyan ng pansin dito, no? At tayo ay nararamdaman natin itong konteksto to na nangyayari sa ating bayan. Wait, teka lang. Sige. So okay, so hanggang doon na lamang at least yung yan, ilang mga passages na discuss natin, Genesis 15 kay Abraham, na-discuss natin yung chapter 22, yung about sa obedience ni Abraham about sacrificing si Isaac on the altar. Nandun din yung word na altar, no? Tapos na pag-aralan din natin yung yung tungkol sa Genesis 3, yung resulta ng fall na kino-compare yung yung dila, no? Nang kagaya siya ng no, lang ng makala yung lason, no, na nagagawa ng at yung sira na yung damage na nagagawa nito, no. At tayo marami rin tayong mga bad experiences about it na tayo yung nakapagsalita, hindi natin pinag-isipan, nakapanakit tayo ng tao. O kaya naman yung reverse, no? Tayo naman ang pinagsalita at nasaktan yung damdamin natin kasi nakaka-insulto, no? So again, ano yun? Ingat-ingat lang talaga. Ano no, yung nga yung likeness of God, no? We were created in the likeness of God. Yung tema ng creation, I do not need to ano no, yung undermine kasi nakita niyo naman Genesis 1 and 2, no? Ay nadidiscuss all over the book of James at saka yun sa case ni ano ni Abel sa Genesis chapter 4. Okay, so are there questions? I hope no, I hope na nakaka-contribute tayo dito kasi um, gusto natin na yung ano no yung commitment natin sa scripture kasi yung dahilan na ginamit ito ni ano no ni James para dun sa yung i-communicate niya yung essence no. So kung alam din natin yung Old Testament, naniniwala ako na ano na makakatulong ito lalo doon sa pagpapaliwanag no. At saka if you are preaching no, Kuya Jim,
Wala po. Mamaya na lang, sir, pagkatapos.
sige.
May tatanong lang, sir.
Opo. If you are preaching from the book of James, no, or any passage sa New Testament, ay pwede niyo po itong gawin, no? Pwede niyo isa. Naalala ko po kasi yung 7 palabras malapit na, no, yung 7 last words. Often nasa side doon yung Isaiah 53, no? Yung tungkol doon sa suffering servant, no? At doon sa suffering servant na ito ano yung matinding picture na pinapakita doon at ano no at uh, tuloy ang understanding ng ibang mga New Testament ay sabihin natin mga pastor no ay nakita na raw ni Isaiah no nakita na raw ni Isaiah yung fulfillment na ito kay Jesus no. Hindi ako masyadong ano doon, hindi ako masyadong nadadala doon. Pero pwede natin masabi yung example na sinabi ko kanina, typology, no? Yung New Testament author ay naglo-look back no doon sa Old Testament at yun yung binibigay niya ng ano ng meaning sa kanyang ano sa kanyang sabihin natin composition ano. I'm not saying no, I'm not against kasi sasabihin niyo hindi ba kayang gawin ng Diyos 'yon ipakita kay Isaiah yung mangyayari in the future posible naman 'yon hindi naman wala namang makaka ano dun makaka ano 'yun kumbaga it's not for debate na kayang gawin ng Diyos 'yon pero sa Isaiah 53 kasi ibang picture kasi ang ano no binibigyan ng pansin doon at mas focus kasi siya sa ano kasi it was written sa diaspora no sorry it was written during the exile no exile kaya naman ang picture ng suffering servant doon ay a portrait of the suffering of the ano na Jews no when they were in exile so naka-pertain ito do sa kanilang collective experiences no as a people of God pero they were brought into bondage yung word na servant at saka slave they come from the same Greek word no at I think ganun din yata sa abod sa ano no, sa ebed sa ano sa sa Hebrew word na ito no. Okay, Kuya Jim, sige bigyan na kita mo meron kang itatanong no Kuya Jim.
Hindi, sir, ano ko lang yung sa worksheet, sir. Yung
Yes, go
practical
on.
Paano ba yung 10% na yun sa grading system yung worksheet, sir?
Um,
Yung sa requirements?
Oo. Lagyan nyo lang ng sagot. Kaya nga beneficial po na ano na pinag-uusapan natin tapos merong question doon. Sagutan nyo
Ito
lang.
po, sir, na yun? Ito na yung worksheet na yun?
Yes po, yes po.
Ito na yung every meeting?
That's correct po. Pero yung worksheet, ipapasok nyo na yun sa uli.
Okay.
Yung pa ho dyan yung ano, yung regular na reflection nyo about ano. Magkaiba pa yon ano, Kuya Jim?
Magkaiba pa, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. Pero dagdag na clarification, ano, yung role ng worksheet is pang Bible study natin. No? Automatic yun, kunyari, pang group work, i-gather mo, magturo ka ng James and then meron tayong ano, may pagbabatayan tayo. Are there any other questions? Kung wala naman, ano yung impression ninyo nitong yung sa second half ng ating pinag-aralan about interpreting the old sa new?
Sure, para sa akin, mas nagkaroon ng meaning kasi. Parang mas lumalim po yung pagtingin ko dun sa ano. Kumbaga sabi nyo nga, hindi lang siya parang, alam mo yung parang wala lang naisip si James. Tapos parang, yung parang kumuha lang siya ng kung ano-ano. Nakakatuwa kasi na ma-realize na, piri mo parang he's stressing or emphasizing yung creation. Yun yun na, dun ako na-amaze eh. Kasi hindi ko po yun nakita dati. Ayun po.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you, Sis April. At included yung sagot ni Sister April doon sa no, yung first part ng ating lesson about metaphors na ginamit ni James dito. There's Kuya Saldi, anong maisip ninyo?
Ano sir, bali naging medyo malinaw yung doon sa James kung paano siya ituturo ngayon, hindi lamang doon sa yung on idea natin kundi yung mas kumbaga mas typical ngayon yung gagawin natin na pagtuturo about James kaysa doon sa dati, doon sa based doon sa itinuro niyo po sir.
Salamat Pastor Saldi. Others po. Even si Pastor Lito at saka si Pastor Julius na pwede kayo mag-share dito. Kuya Jerry.
Pastor.
Sige, Pastor Lito, sige po.
Tama yung po mga binanggit nila. Nagkaroon ng malalim at nagkaroon ng buhay kapag ito ay maipapaliwanag natin. So, maski ang ating congregation ay may enlightened, eto pala talaga ang ibig sabihin nito. Maski sila lalawak ang kanilang pagtingin at pag-unawa sa salita ng ating Panginoon na ginawa ni James sa kanyang pagtuturo. Lamang po.
Okay, thank you. Ano naman tayo nag-agree tayo na. Baka si Kuya Jim kanina nag-unmute Kuya Jim.
Sir, base din sa mga historical comments at critic ni Martin Luther tungkol sa Book of James as an epistle of straw. Ngayon ko lang na tama po silang lahat at dagdag lang ito na makita mo yung mga aphorism, yung allusions, yung vignettes na makikita niyo talaga na nami-miss ko rin yung hindi ko rin nakita yung katulad sabi ni Sister April na yung creation. Pero as a whole, pero yung sa puno, sa ganun, sa tongue, yeah. At ako yung mas nalinawan ngayon sa presentation, sir. Ayun lang, sir. Yung mga na-appreciate ko yung mga word na terminologies ng mga theologians na mga sinasabing vignettes, aphorism, allusion. Ayun po, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Opo. Salamat din, Pastor Romel. Ay, Kuya Jim, thank you po. Okay, siguro wala na. Salamat sa ating pong napag-aralan ngayon.